but as we all know, right? I mean, that's where the real money is made, when the people that stick
Yeah,
around during that time. That's where all the real money is made.
that's.
So
I think you actually made a really good point there. Hi guys, Alessio, hope you're well. We're actually quite honored today to have Benjamin Cowen of the YouTube channel Benjamin Cowen, and he actually covers a lot of videos and details on Bitcoin and crypto. He also runs the website intothecryptoverse.com, and he's here with us today. I'm really, by the way, Benjamin, thank you so much indeed for being here. And I've been looking forward to this interview for some time. And guys, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of subjects. All right, guys, so join us. So we're going to start, actually, first of all, before we begin, Benjamin, how are you? Where are you, by the way? Where are you situated? New York, I think you mentioned some time ago, am I right?
no, I'm actually in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah,
I've been there.
we recently moved here though from New Mexico, so it's a very
Yeah.
big change.
From
But
New
yeah,
Mexico.
thanks for having me. Yeah.
No, no, that's cool. Um, that's interesting. It's an interesting jump, by the way, from, so what's it like? What's the transition like for you from New Mexico to North Carolina?
Yeah, well, I'm actually from North Carolina,
Oh,
and
okay.
then my wife and I, we moved out to New Mexico for a while to do graduate school, and then work for a couple years, and then we moved back here to the East Coast.
Right. Yeah. I was actually over, I mean, I visited a lot of parts of America. I was in Florida just a few months, about a month ago for Christmas. I've been to North Carolina some time ago. South Carolina I enjoyed the most because it's warm, nice weather.
Yeah, it
Do
is a
you
bit
get a nice,
warmer.
yeah. Let's get on to it. I'm sure people want us to talk about something serious. So let's talk about Bitcoin. Now, folks who watch my channel, my videos, they already know my point of view on Bitcoin and crypto, but I'm more curious about yours. So how do you see the whole situation right now with Bitcoin, where we're at? But also, I know the situation on Bitcoin can change in the next few weeks and months. So what I'm really interested from you is, where do you think the big picture is in regards to Bitcoin for this year, by the end of this year?
Yeah.
So again, so many things can happen in the next few weeks. So in the short term, but what I really want from you today is your general picture perspective in the well, not say long term, but in the next several months going to the end of this year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in the short term, it's always hard to predict what will happen.
Yeah.
You really never know, like in liquidation cascades or anything like that, how things can play out. Um, but yeah, so certainly in the short term, obviously we know there's a lot of volatility, especially when we're generally in this risk-off environment. Um, but as we get into the later part of the year, maybe if we're talking about, say, like the second half of the year, I would expect Bitcoin to show a bit more strength than it's showing today. I know that it's hard when Bitcoin's going down. It seems like it's going to never go back up again. And then when it's going up, it seems like it's never going to go back down again. But my thinking is that we are sort of in the process of trying to find a bottom to build off of, but it's not really clear at this point where exactly that is. It's easy to want to be a hero and try to figure out, try to
Yeah.
claim we know where the bottom is, but the longer I've been in Bitcoin, I kind of don't even try to figure out where the bottom is, and always recognize that it could be lower than where we are today.
Yeah.
But we do know that whenever that happens, if it hasn't already happened, then we can get a pretty quick bounce off of those levels, and we can trend higher. The last couple of years for Bitcoin has just been all over the place. It's basically like it goes up for a while and hardly goes down, or it goes down for a while, like we saw in the summer, like we're seeing in November, December, January, and now early February as well. So later this year, it becomes a question of, like, will we have the strength to get to new all-time highs? I think it is possible to hit new all-time highs. If it doesn't happen this year, which I think it easily could, especially in like the second half of the year,
Yeah.
then I do think if it hasn't happened by then I think it'll happen in 2023 for sure. I know there's a lot of, and the reason I say that is because there's a lot of people that have sort of resigned themselves to the idea that we're not going to see new all-time highs until after the next halving, which isn't
Yeah, I've
until
heard that.
which isn't
Yeah.
until 2024. But I don't think we necessarily have to wait that long. We also have to remember too that there's a lot of comparisons between where we are now and where we were in 4 years ago and stuff. There are some differences though. Bitcoin's not even 2 times its prior all-time high right now. And yeah, I think back then at the same kind of time, it was, 10 times or, or something its prior all-time high. So, I mean, of course, there's the whole idea of diminishing returns in there as well. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for Bitcoin to try to find some type of a bottom, either in the first or second quarter of this year, and then to probably build off of that level pretty quickly. I'm not really envisioning, a 2-year period without Bitcoin putting in new all-time highs.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that point. I actually said in my previous video that I put on Bitcoin, all I said was that I expect this potential bear market. And I said potential because I don't really like using these terms, bear market, bull market. It can be, it depends really on which kind of model you're applying. But let's pretend for a moment, let's just say we were in a bear market since we broke that September low. I actually think that this bear market is going to be short term, as in it's not going to last for very long. Maybe a few months, couple of months, maybe a few weeks or months, but I don't think it's going to be 2018. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of 2018. What is your view on that? Do you see this as similar to what's happening in 2018, kind of a multi-month downtrend? Or do you see this more like I do as a sort of a short-term bear market, or maybe a short-term consolidation, downtrend,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, before we go up again?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's probably, and by the way, when I think about it, and I know you talk about this too. You talk about the 21-week EMA a lot on your channel, and
Yeah.
there's also the 20-week SMA is similar. They typically come out to a very similar price, just within a few percent of each other. And also you're right. We broke the September lows, so by a lot of definitions, you could say we are in a bear market. We're also 50% down from the all-time
Yeah.
high. I know in the
Yeah.
stock market, if you're 20% down, right, they call it a bear market. In Bitcoin, if you called every 20% correction a bear market, then we'd be in a bear market all the time. Uh,
Right.
yeah, I think that, when I think about the time we're going to have to spend below, say, like the 21-week EMA, which I know you talk
Yeah.
about a lot. I think probably the time frame on that is 3 to 6 months from when we went below it. Which we
Yeah.
went below it about 2.5 months ago, I believe, maybe 2 months ago, maybe about 2 months ago or so. So I think we're probably going to stay below it for another 1 to 4 months is my thinking. One of the things we noticed that's really different between right now and 2018 is, in 2018 we saw a lot of bounces, and it was very drawn out and long, and it was actually quite brutal. This one, we haven't actually really seen many bounces over the last few months. So it kind of makes me think that perhaps we're getting a little bit more efficient on finding wherever we need to go, which would actually be a bit more ideal. And I also keep seeing people say like they're gonna, they're just waiting for the bounce. They're waiting for the bounce, and then there's no bounce. There just isn't any
Yeah.
bounce. And by the time the bounce comes, it might not be the bounce. I mean, it might actually be a real move. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. And I also think too, when people talk about bear markets and bull markets, I know that bear markets tends to the terminology triggers a certain reaction in people. But as we all know, right? I mean, that's where the real money is made, when the people that stick
Yeah.
around during that time. That's where all the real money is made. So
I think you actually made a really good point there, which I'm glad you did, because that is absolutely correct. It's the same true with the stock market. And there's an old saying that I think you just said it as well. I don't know who first said it. I'm sure I've heard it before, but real money, wealth is made in a bear market, which sounds counterintuitive. It sounds strange, but
yeah,
actually you're absolutely right, because that's when you get the big discounts. That's when you get the big percentage drops, like 50%, 60%, whatever you want to call that. And if you're a long-term bull, even if you're not a bull, if you have a long-term perspective, then yeah, you can position into that at lower prices.
right.
Um,
Well, I
yeah,
also
is that?
I
Sorry.
think it's easy. I think it's easy for people to look back, and like when we were in 2021 and Bitcoin's trading at 60K, it's easy to look back at 2019 and
Mm.
2020 and say they wish they bought, because
Yeah,
it all
yeah,
just looks like, oh, like you got so lucky. But really, I mean, you're making videos back then too. I mean, even on YouTube for a long time. I mean, you're talking about crypto, and look, I mean, what did we experience back then, right?
yeah,
We went from 20K down to 3K, then back
yeah,
up to 14K, then back down to 3,800, and then back up to 12, back down to 10 on the retest of the 21-week EMA. And then we finally got the move.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's easy to look back and say, oh yeah, like it makes sense to buy back then. But if you bought at 14K in the summer of 2019, you would have been 70% down by March of 2020.
That's
So
right. That's
yeah,
right.
it really is easy to look back and claim that you wish you had bought then. It's a much different thing to actually do it. And I think it's
True. True.
where the real money where the real money is made. So I mean, I think
I
hopefully
agree.
we'll find a bottom in Q1 or Q2. I'm trying to be patient
Mm.
on it and not I'm trying not to be a hero on that and trying to claim I know where it is. 'Cause I don't.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I certainly know what the downside risks are. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's always the 200-week moving average. I'm not saying we have to go there, but historically that has been kind of like the
Mm.
area where the bulls really come back out if they haven't come out already. I mean, back in the summer we didn't even get close to it,
Mm.
so there's no guarantee we get close to it again.
That's
Um,
right.
but I just want to I always have to keep in the back of my head that yeah we could go lower and whenever we do we want to see a big bounce off whatever that low is.
Yeah. Often when we do these videos, I'm sure you get this too from people who watch your videos, because I know I get on my videos. Often people write comments. These are usually just trolls, people trying to be cute and funny. But they say, oh, here we go. These guys are saying Bitcoin is going to go up and it's going to go down. What a genius. Yeah, well done, guys. But that's
Yeah.
that's not what we're saying, guys. We're just being honest here. Look, I think what Ben is saying, what I'm saying is, look, it's very difficult to predict anything actually, but it's even more difficult to predict the short term. But I'm actually I would say more confident about the long term, or at least the medium term, going towards the end of this year. And I think one thing that you and I agree on, no matter what happens in the short term between the next few weeks or even the next couple of months, I think we both are agreeing that to some extent that Bitcoin could see all-time highs by the end of this year, or at least going into early next year, 2023. Is that right? Am I
That
reading you correctly?
yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I think. I mean I
yeah,
just think we're all over the place and
yeah,
whenever we start another uptrend, it could be like this downtrend where it just goes up for a while, you know?
yeah.
So yeah, I think you're correct in that. And I mean, of course, it's not to say that that has to play out and you know, like I've seen those comments as well, like, oh, is choosing if you go up, down, or sideways. I should start a YouTube channel, right? Like so they'll say.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's all just based on managing your risk and probabilities
yeah.
and look, I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen in the short term, but uh, I'll at
Mm.
least try to manage my risk accordingly.
Let me get some specifics then. So let's go to some specifics. And I mean, obviously, we have a key level right below us. We don't even have to look at the chart because we know it.
Yeah,
30K, that's the June, July lows.
right.
29K, 30K is approximately where that low is. Do you think we're going to hold that level? And if it doesn't hold that level, what would you expecting might happen next?
That's a good question.
Mm.
It's funny because you know I also thought there was a decent chance that 40K could have held. You know, like I feel
Right,
like there was always a chance that it could have happened. It could have held.
right.
I look at 30K and I also think, you know, again, I kind of think the same thing, like it could hold. But the problem is that it's hard to predict what can happen when you get a liquidation cascade. And one of the things I look for to
Mm.
try to really put on my rally cap and hopefully see us go higher is I want to see a lot of volume come back in
Yeah.
at a level where, you know, where it just seems like all hope is lost, you know, and
Yes.
um, I like I don't want to say we can't go up from this level because we can. It's not like we did not have a parabolic blow off top at 69. I mean, it was just basically sideways movement. It wasn't a ton of volume. I mean, there was volume, but it wasn't like a parabolic blow off top type of volume. So I want to be careful in saying that it's not like we have to see something like that. But if history is any indication for Bitcoin, usually that's what gives the bears the confidence that the short term moves over and then they become bulls. Uh, and this is what we've seen
Yeah.
happen a lot. Happen a lot. I mean, look at December 2018,
Mm.
look at May of
Mm.
2021, and then look at March
Mm.
2020. All of those capitulations came with a lot of
Yeah.
volume
Yeah.
that was much more than say like the background noise volume leading into those
Yeah.
capitulations. So, you know, the way I handle this is I sort of operate under the impression that like there is a good probability that we hold 30K, but I would be, to me, I think it would be silly to not have a plan like to take advantage of a potential move below 30K. You know, like if we go sub 30K, I have to imagine that the people that got into the market in 2021 are going to feel like all hope is lost, because they haven't seen
Yeah,
those prices, right? Like they haven't really
I know.
seen anything lower than 29K since they joined. So if it goes below that price, I have to think that that would be a big capitulation, from which we
Yeah,
would probably bounce out of. We'd probably bounce out of it. And if we went to those levels, I don't think we would spend a whole lot of time there. So yeah, that's how I think. I mean, I think it's possible that it holds, and it's why I have my positions locked and loaded and ready to go. But I think it makes sense to also always plan for the downside.
yeah. And I agree with you actually on that point. I think that we've reached, I think there is, I've certainly read reports that there's a lot of pessimism and negativity on Bitcoin at the moment. You can even read in the comments, even in the comments, you can see people are kind of losing hope. Or either losing hope or they want someone to give them that hope. And because, there is that as well.
Right.
And I'm not sure whether we've reached peak pessimism. That's a good question you make. I think it's a good point you make there. Guys, thank you very much to Benjamin here. Please also go ahead and subscribe to Benjamin's YouTube channel, which I'll put the link for you here in the description. And you can watch tons of videos from Benjamin, again, on crypto, not just Bitcoin. I think you cover also other cryptos as well. So I'll put the link for that in the description. Thank you very much, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.